Damian Lillard is back in a Trailblazers jersey, and it's really happening. In the offseason that's been packed with shocking moves. This is the one that feels just right, but don't make the mistake. This is um long overdue in my opinion. But don't make mistake this for a simple nostalgia trip or a legacy contract for a guy past his prime. We're breaking down why Dame's return is the perfect move for Portland, for the soul of the city, and for the future of this crazy, talented young team. In the NBA world, it just feels right again, and I'm about to tell you why. But before I tell you why, I want you to check out this clip of Dame and how he feels about returning home and how his kids feel. Check this out.
I didn't say nothing to them about it until Saturday when I actually signed, and they were with me, and we got back in the car to go home. And I got to a red light, and I just turned around, and my daughter was looking at me, and I told her, and she was like, "Wait, so like we don't have to get on the airplane to Milwaukee no more?" I was like, "Yeah, like y'all don't gotta get on the plane no more." And she was like, "So you're gonna be at your house in Portland the whole time?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "What?" Like she was, and then her brothers was kind of listening to that back and forth, and they were all extremely excited. So I saved it for when I knew it was official.
All right, and this is another clip because people are getting it misconstrued that he only came back to Portland for his kids and his family who is in Portland, so he don't have to fly all the way to Milwaukee Bucks and try to manage spending time with family and his family not being there because they live in Portland and things like that, but also making it known that it wasn't just a family decision, but also a basketball decision from a business perspective. So check this out.
One thing that when we all sat down and this idea kind of started to move towards me signing back here, obviously I'm gonna look at the basketball situation. I'm not. We play basketball, and you want to win basketball games. So a lot of people, may look at it as a family decision, and obviously anybody would have their family be a part of a decision that they make. But this was just as much a basketball decision. So just knowing that, I'm gonna be back home, for all parts of my life, with my kids, playing for the Trailblazers, driving on the same streets that I've driven on pretty much my entire adulthood. My whole family being here, my mom, my brother, my sisters, all my friends around the city of Portland. All of those things count. And like I said, I wasn't expecting it to happen so soon.
All right, so you can't really get how big this is without understanding what Damian Lillard means to Portland. This isn't just some star player coming back to an old team. This is a city icon coming home. And he drafted six overall way back in 2012. Lillard didn't just play for the Blazers for 11 seasons, he was the Blazers. He embraced Rip City from day one, and the city grabbed him right back, and he became the franchise all-team leading scorer, a nine-time All-Star, and a guy who gave us the phenomenon we all known as Dame Time, right? And I want to just play clips of him and his legendary moments in Portland while I give you guys the game and have a conversation. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. I am going to mute the audio due to copyright purposes. But those moments are burned into the brain of every NBA fan, such as myself. And the step back three over the Rockets to clinch a playoff series, the 37-foot bomb to walk it off against OKC, followed by the coldest wave goodbye in league history. These weren't just highlights; they were statements of loyalty from a superstar who time again chose to build something in Portland instead of chasing a super team ring somewhere else. And that kind of loyalty builds a bond that's about way more than basketball, and is why even when he was playing for the Bucks, people in Portland talked about him like he was one of their own, and why they were gutted when he went down with the devastating Achilles injury, because we know that he left Portland, the Portland Trailblazers, and got traded to Milwaukee Bucks in 2023. And that's what made him leaving so hard. And it wasn't some bitter divorce, it was a painful mutual split. And Lillard needed a real shot at a title, and the Blazers had to finally commit to a full rebuild around their young guys. And still, seeing him in a Bucks uniform just never looked right, in my opinion. It was like a constant ache for a fan base that had invested over a decade of hope in one man. And his introductory press conference just confirmed what we all felt. What Lillard said himself, it never felt right not being home. And that's why this reunion is the feel good story of the year. It's about healing that wound, and Lillard coming back on a 3-year, $42 million deal isn't just a transaction, it's a statement. In the era of player movement and constant chaos, this is a throwback. It's a story about loyalty actually getting rewarded, about a superstar choosing his home and his legacy. And this gives him the chance to finish his story on his own terms in the city that loves him, with a no trade clause to make sure he's not uprooted again. And this kind of storybook ending that legends like Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki got, and it's happening right where it always should have. And if you think Dame's return is one of the best stories in the NBA offseason, do us a solid and hit that like button. And if you wanted more breakdowns of the biggest moves in the league, make sure you subscribe. But the motions are one thing, okay? But now, what the skeptics are saying is this is just a sentimental signing. So let's get one thing straight. This is also a brilliant basketball move. It plugs the single biggest hole the Portland Trailblazers had, which is a legitimate veteran leadership. And if you look at this roster, the Blazers are young, they're athletic, and they're brimming with potential. But the loophole, like I'm saying, is the biggest hole in the ship was not having a legitimate veteran leader. And now you got Damian Lillard, and you got guards like Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe, plus other promising young talent. But what they are is a team that desperately needs a guide, and they need someone who's been through the playoff wars, who know what it is to take a win, and who commands instant respect in a locker room full of young players. And they need someone to set the culture. The solution, Damian Lillard. And the smartest part of this whole thing is that his value starts long before he even step backs on the court. And let's talk about the elephant in the room, the injury, right? Because Dame is recovering from a torn Achilles and is expected to miss the entire 2025-2026 season. And that's a brutal injury, no doubt. But the Blazers are playing chess here, not checkers. And they aren't rushing him back. They're letting him heal. And in the meantime, he's taking on a totally new role. And as Coach Chauncey Billups joked, Lillard is about to become the highest paid assistant coach in league history, and that's the genius of it all. And for a whole season, Dame's job is to mentor. He gets to pour 13 years of NBA wisdom directly into Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe. And imagine what that means for a guy like Henderson, the player who was supposed to be Dame's successor, who now gets a masterclass from the legend himself. And Lillard can teach him how to read NBA defenses, how to prepare his body, and how to handle the pressure of being the guy. And this isn't an old star blocking a young player path. It's a direct investment in his development. Then, when Dame does return for the 2026-2027 season, he won't be asked to be the 32 points a game savior he was in his prime. He'll be the ultimate veteran weapon. A healthy Lillard is still an elite shooter who terrifies defenses, and most importantly, can be the stone cold closer in clutch moments. And he becomes the steady hand that guides the offense when a game is on the line, and he'll be rejoining a roster that should be much better equipped to cover his defensive shortcomings with more athletic wings and rim protection. So this move brings Dame time back in the building, not just as a player, but as a standard to live by. And for a team this young, that kind of leadership is priceless. So look, let's be real. No move is perfect, and there are risks. The big question mark, obviously, is Lillard's health. A torn Achilles at age 35 is one of the toughest injuries in sports to come back from, and there is no guarantee he'll be the same all NBA player. And Portland is dedicating a full season to his rehab. And there's also the question of expectations. Does his return create pressure to win now and mess with their patient rebuild? And what about the money? Even though 42 million over 3 years is a team-friendly number for a player of his caliber, it's still a real investment in someone heading into his late 30s. But here's why the positives crush the concerns of the franchise. Now, the desperate push for the eighth seat, And second, let's talk about the value because the Milwaukee Bucks waived and stretched Lillard's previous massive contract, and they are the ones on the hook for a huge amount of money over the next several years. And that means Portland is getting a franchise legend, a mentor, and a future on court contributor for a price that represents incredible value for what he brings to the organization as a whole. So ultimately, this is about trying to recapture the past. It's about building the future. And Lillard's role has completely changed. And he's not coming back to be the lone hero carrying the city on his back. He's the veteran leader, the mentor, the cultural cornerstone. He's returning to help build the next great Blazers team. And it's a perfect partnership. He gets to rehab in his career in his adopted home with his family, surrounded by a city that adores him. And the Blazers get the exact leader they need. Rare moves that wins on every single level. And it's an incredible, emotionally satisfying story that you just don't see in modern sports. A homecoming that feels perfect for the player, the team, and the city, and it closes a wound and sets up a storybook ending for the greatest player in franchise history in Portland Trailblazer franchise history. But it's more than just feelings and nostalgia. It's a brilliant piece of team building. It gives a young, talented roster the one thing it was missing, an elite mentor who can set the culture and still hit daggers when he comes back. And it's a move that balances loyalty, respect, and smart planning. And it's a win for the heart and it's a win for the head. Damian Lillard is back where he belongs, and because of it, the future in Portland is brighter than ever. So, what do you think? With Dame back in the lineup for the 2026-2027 season, how many games do the Blazers win? Drop your predictions in the comments below. And if you love NBA talk like this, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. Peace.